Hello, beloved. So excited to be with you and bringing you more kind of cosmic news you can use. So I am coming to you from the lake and just wanting to make sure that you have these kind of updates. Okay, so let's see now, where are we? I believe that today is February 17th, and there were enormous openings and tsunamis of energy waves yesterday throughout the latter part of the day, Pacific time zone, into the evening, well into the evening. Incredible. So you may be in various places with feeling this energy, and I want to give you some useful thoughts about it and nest it within the larger, within the larger what's going on currently. So hopefully you've listened to the kind of the most recent episodes where I've been sharing transmissions about we are in this new very early pre-dawn phase of a new golden age for Earth. And so what's going on with that is this intense, gorgeous, amazing earthen diamond light is radiating up and out from the Earth being. And just you can just imagine the entire globe physically, biologically, and anatomically, structurally, and energetically is just lit up from the inside out with this beautiful energy, waves and waves pushing up and out. And so, of course, this is going to be kind of coming through each of us as it goes up and out into the cosmos, and where it is, of course, dancing and being joined by incredible, beautiful waves coming in from the cosmos. And the mingling of these energies is extraordinary, and we are at the very beginning of that. So unbelievable. And I hope that you're feeling even some tiny little bits and pieces of this, and if you are, please grab them, reinforce them, spend time in them, write down or paint or sing or dance or any mechanism to help you essentially kind of anchor the embodied, visceral experience of them, even if it's just for a few moments, so that you can tap into it again more easily. It's not going anywhere. So your experience of access to it is entirely kind of within you, right? So we can kind of go in and out of access to that based on whatever we're doing in our own evolutionary journey internally. And I say that not at all, I hear somebody is going to hear that and go, oh, I suck, I can't do it, I'm not good at it. No. So it's more to give you the empowerment of nobody can take this away from you. And it's not here just for you anyway. So it's not all about you, if that makes sense, in a way that's useful, right? And so even if you have a really crappy day and you kind of lose touch with it, or you're, integrating on some new amazing opening that is alchemized, stimulated by this, and that kind of drops you out of the flow of connection to it while you work through that integration time, it's not going anywhere, right? You didn't miss the boat. So, you're in the boat. You are the boat. It's going. It's happening. So remember that, of course, as we've been talking about, we're in this passageway portal time. We're in this passageway period where various people are making the transition into the new pre-dawn of the golden age. And so, everyone's feeling kind of different stages occurring around that. And that I feel, stays open, I feel, through April now. I feel pretty clear that it's staying open through April, that there are several key, interesting, kind of new pieces coming in through the end of February and in March and in April, but I do feel that it stays open through April. I do feel something very powerful opens and occurs on probably April 22nd, which is, I believe, also, isn't that also Earth Day? And now I'm hearing, oh yeah, Earth Day last year was a really big thing as well. And not because it's Earth Day, it's more like humans kind of vibed in to make Earth Day on this day for that reason, and not because of April 22nd. That doesn't mean anything. That's just artificial human time. But although, of course, if that's like your birthday or something, like, yay, celebrate. But was that when the founder codes were released last year? I can't remember. Sorry. But it was around that time. Anyway, so I'm just thinking back to prior transmissions that you might find fun to revisit. And certainly I do think revisiting the Cosmic Right to Purity and the founder codes, which were last spring episodes, may be extraordinarily powerful for you now. Even if you've visited those a few times, there may be some, there are likely to be some kind of new levels that open within you around that. So, okay, so coming back here, we have a few interesting things going on in March as well. In terms of February, where we are right now, many people are putting a lot of emphasis and excitement and belief into the idea of February 22nd as a really important kind of quote-unquote portal. It's a 2-month, the month is a 2-month, the 22nd of the day, 2022 is the year, so this sort of 2 thing that's going on is really activating for a lot of people. What I want to say about that is that it's okay if you don't align with that and you don't vibe with that, and it's fine if you do as well, but understand that it's a sort of a human collective construct for those numerical portals to be meaningful. And so it's a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy that occurs where as more and more people sort of attach a kind of an energetic to a number and to a date, particularly a date, but to a number, then for the most part, and there are certain limited exceptions to this, but for the most part, it then kind of just the magnetism, if you will, of that energetic related to that date grows and expands, and that, of course, then makes sort of the radio signal about that greater and more magnetic, and then more people kind of flock into it. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. But what's most important is for you to remember and understand that's a mental model that's created. And so if it doesn't work for you, or you don't have some big experience on the 22nd, you didn't miss it. Nothing's wrong with you. You may have already had it, and you may already like, oh, I'm way ahead. But I do think it's going to be, or you may have it later, right? Because the passageway is open for a long time because everyone's moving through it one way or the other. So, and of course, everything that I'm sharing is a mental model. Remember that none of our models matter. All of the words and the ideas and the interpretations that I bring, that anybody brings about the nature of reality, about what's happening, about who they are, about anything. These are mental models, and they don't matter. Not in the big picture. Where they're useful, grab them, right? Which is why I always say, my core philosophy and everything that I share is always take what's useful, leave the rest without judgment. And by leave the rest without judgment, I mean leave the rest with neutrality, so that you don't accidentally kind of grab into something sticky for yourself that's sort of gross and not helpful to you. So we do, in human form, mental models are really useful. Many, and at many levels, whether we're in human form or in other forms, mental models can be very useful. They help the consciousness within the being kind of hook into the next level as we're kind of, I always say we're kind of climbing up the rock face of awareness or expansion within, or whatever you want to call it. And we need that next kind of mental model as a place, as a sort of a toehold to get a grip, and we sort of pop up to the next place. We get an visceral embodied experience of something, And we're like, whoa, what's that? And then a little mental model comes in, we create it or we receive it, as a kind of a cosmic download, or we get it from somebody sharing their perspective, like I am here, and we go, ooh, yeah, that's really activating within me. Ooh, that really helps me. And then we can take that visceral embodied experience we had of whatever, and then we can kind of bring it up to the next place, right? And this is what we're doing, just do, embodied brain or consciousness or mental model, embodied mental model, embodied mental model. And this kind of sort of two-step shuffle, this is how we move ahead in our human journey. So, and it's just, the neurobiology piece, the brain piece. And it's, one of the beautiful things about the gifted experience, which some of you have, the highly gifted brain is a very atypical situation to have that experience. And one of the beautiful things of that is that it has a sort of a crazy disproportionate, intrinsic skill around pattern recognition. And there can be many reasons why this actually can work against you in your human experience, but it is a precursor to the multidimensional experience, and it creates that opportunity to kind of connect all of the dots in a very kind of beautiful synthesis way that it may not be as easily available for others. And then being able to kind of share that also can be very helpful for others as well. And so back to what's going on now. So we are, one of the big feelings that many are experiencing energetically is similar to this idea of so we talked a little bit about the seeds are sprouting and those little green tendrils are coming up, right? And we don't know what form they're going to take. You may be starting to, or soon will start to have a sense of, those green plants, those green shoots, they are coming up. I see them. Oh, look, I can see a bud. I can see what kind of flower it's going to be. Like, I'm ready for it to come in, or I'm ready for the tree to start growing, or whatever the thing is. And the imagery that I got on this yesterday, because this was my experience yesterday, as these new waves were coming in, was like of all these big, beautiful, amazing new things, awarenesses, happenings, creations that you're putting together, all the cool stuff that's coming on the other side of your movement through this passageway. It feels like these big, giant, beautiful airplanes coming in for a landing, and you're the airport, right? And you're the airport, and the big planes are coming in, and you're so excited, like, yes, come and land in here, in my space, in my reality, in my experience. But, oh, whoops, they're not quite landing. They're getting here, but they're not quite landing. And instead, they're kind of circling around the airport. Why are they circling around the airport? Why are they in this holding pattern? Like, come land. So some people are really having that experience now, or may be having that experience, in the days and weeks ahead. And, just be patient with it. Lean back, be patient. That's really your only job in that regard, if that's what you're feeling. If you're feeling that kind of impatience around that, try not to focus there. In these current few days, in particular, of kind of the rest of this week through the weekend into kind of mid next week for sure, maybe even beyond, we have incredibly great energy for creative expression. So if there is something that you have been trying to bring through in, things that you're trying to write or design or create or envision, and you've been sort of struggling a little bit, you may find it just kind of starts bursting through, right? Bursting through, really joyful, really fun. And if there is something that you've been kind of focusing on or wishing would come through in any way like that, then I would really strongly encourage you to block as much time for free, open space, to just go play in those areas, to kind of just trust that new things will come in, and just trust it, hold the space for it, protect the space for it, and then go be in the space of it, and just trust that it will come through you, okay? And into increasingly, the more we kind of lean the mind back, even leaning the whole human back, and letting more of our cosmic self kind of come through us and be guiding and leading the expression of the words that you're speaking or writing, the painting that you're making, the, website you're designing, whatever the things are. And the more big and true to what you wanted to create in your highest timeline, those creations will be. And again, the visceral embodied experience of, oh, that's what I'm doing. This isn't just like standard flow science flow state. This is something bigger. This is cosmic self integrating at a new level and being able to flow through my human and express and co-create with my human. And this is, of course, part of this important time is this integration of the cosmic and the human self. And also, of course, as I've spoken about before, some of you remember the original self. And we have this trinity of the cosmic and the human self and the original self, that this union, this integration of these three together within the human body, and the union of them together is the core function of our species at this time in its evolutionary journey into becoming Homo lumens. And so some of you, with this energetics that are occurring over just these past couple of weeks and into throughout this springtime, I'm in the northern hemisphere, so it's going into springtime. For me, as we go into the end of February, March, April, are going to have mental models of this union of Trinity within as something along the lines of the mother, the father, the child, the king, the queen, the child, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the child. And I want to tell you that if you are working with these mental models already in this way, that yes, and there is more within that, if you can loosen your hold, your grip on that mental model, and see that actually where you thought you were holding a fully blossomed flower, you actually were holding a rosebud. And if you let your grip go, that rosebud can bloom fully into the full expression of the Trinity that is at the highest or deepest, both highest and deepest level, truly wanting to integrate and become into union within you of human, cosmic, and original self. This is the true becoming that is driving all of this energetically for the humans. So I just want to make sure that people have that. I think it's very important for people to have that for your thinking. So you may still be feeling a lot of like gunkiness and resistance and tension and friction, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself for it. Don't judge the times you're in for it. Try not to get too frustrated. Be gentle with yourself when you do get overly frustrated, when you're impatient. That's okay. Be gentle. Be kind to yourself. Take a beat. Take a step back. Take breaths. Take walks. Get the music playing. Do whatever you can, wherever you're at, to support your heart, to support your vibe, your emotional state. Don't bury your feelings, but understand that you can have capacity to switch your state if you want to. If you're hiding from a state or running from a state, that isn't very healthy. But if you're like, oh, okay, I'm working with this fear, great, I'm curious about it, I'm interested in it, or I just want to experience it and be in it and just let it express itself through my body, so I'm going to like put on fear music and just move it out, or I'm going to, just sit here and cry. I'm just going to be present in my body. I'm going to go like sit by a tree and cry and let the tree take care of me, whatever it is. But then no, you can then be done with it. Emotional states don't last very long for humans. We are not wired for that. They move like weather patterns, like cloud fronts. They come and they go. They rarely stay for very long in any state, whether we experience it as positive or negative. When it stays for a very long time, particularly in the negative, then we want to really get in and be attending to that. And there are many ways to approach it. But for now, I cannot underestimate or overstate, was the word that I want to use there, the power of music to use at this time. Be very careful, as always, about what you take in, what you're taking in from various forms of media, whatever they are, social, news, books, stories, movies, TV, whatever. Just be very thoughtful about what are you bringing in. You are far more sensitive now than you were last week, last month, last year, last decade. Even if you don't yet have the awareness in your kind of awake, conscious awareness of the impact of that. Like, yeah, no, Melanie, it doesn't bother me to watch that. It's totally fine. I'm totally fine watching that. Maybe you are in the moment because you're used to it and it's a habit. But if you're feeling low and you're still doing the thing, watching the thing, like, I used to listen to NPR religiously all the time. I went through a phase in one of my hashtag CEO for Others former professional lives where, because of the nature of the work that I was doing, I had CNBC on in a TV in my office all the time because it was that important to kind of stay attuned to what was going on the street, in the markets. And the idea of that now is just horrifying to me. It worked for where I was at the time. All those things were supportive at the time, and then they just fell away. They don't align anymore. So I'm not judging any of it. It's not useful to do so. So, okay, I'm hearing that I need to wrap this up. I think that I must have an appointment coming up or something. I never know what's going on my calendar. But I really wanted to get this out to you today if possible, and to make sure that you have some of this kind of the practical, tactical about what's going on. Focus on creational things right now. It's going to be just going to be really cool for you. Really enjoy what's happening energetically. Don't worry if it feels like, darn it, those planes won't land. Make the planes land. Like, no, just lean back and trust. Because maybe if the plane landed too early, it would just be like a dumb little two-seater, and you're getting like the coolest, sexiest, newest rocket plane, if you just are patient. So really lean into trusting yourself, trusting your relationships, trusting the cosmos, trusting Earth, trusting your piece as a fractal within all of that, and do what you can to enjoy yourself. Thank you for your light in the world. Keep being your luminous, radiant being, and I love you.